Hi, I'm Penny Webster. I'm the Rodney Ward Councillor for Auckland Council, and I've been on council for the last 2 terms in Auckland, and was prior to that was Mayor of Rodney. I think one of the biggest things is remember that the staff are very important. They can help you if you want to, and it's all about building relationships with them. It is an important issue because if you're trying to get something resolved, they can be the ones that can make it happen for you. The other thing that's very important, of course, is to make sure you read your agendas, do your homework. So often people come into council meetings and they haven't done that, and it shows up pretty quickly, so that's one of the biggest things you can do. And be available. If one of your constituents gets hold of you, either by email or ring, get straight back. Even if you haven't got the answer they want, go back and say, I'll do my best. Don't promise what you can't achieve, but just go in and go back to them. They really appreciate that.
Okay, hello, my name is Bronwyn Kropp. I'm a City Councillor in Porirua City. The things that I think are really important to know when you first get elected are that your council might use a ward system for elections, and it's really important that when you get to council that you aren't stuck in your ward, that you do represent your whole of city, because although that might be at odds with being elected on a ward-based system, it's important that every decision is taken with the best interests of the whole of the city are taken into account. When you get elected, it's very important to work as a team. So it is politics, and you will have to lobby your colleagues at times, and it is a political basis that you're working in. But to achieve things in council, you need to have teamwork, and that can be getting things through council and supporting others. It is give and take. The other thing is that when you get elected, you don't really realise that some constituents, they don't have boundaries that you might have. So if a ratepayer is angry at 2 a.m, you're getting a phone call at 2 a.m. So your colleagues are the only ones who really understand what you're going through, and sometimes you just need them to vent with. It's also really important that you work together with your region. You should understand the place that your council, if you're a territorial authority, plays in the wider regional context. And this can be both with other regional councils, other local councils, and with iwi organisations. So it's really important to understand your place in the region and how you can work together to achieve results, especially between a regional council and a local council, because your ratepayers are their ratepayers too.
So I'm Angela McLeod. I'm a 2nd term councillor now, just been re-elected to the Upper Hutt City Council. And my top tips for new candidates or new elected members from when I was there last year is that firstly you need to find your way around the long-term plan and the annual plan and other strategic documents. The long-term plan tends to be the higher level one, and that everything else kind of fits under it. So if you find your way, you need to know what's in there. You need to, because they drive the direction of the council for the next 10, 15, 20 years. So, find your way around those documents. When you find out what committees you're on, get in touch with the chair of that committee and also the staff member that's in charge of that committee, and sit down and learn of the things, ask what sorts of things the committee looks at through the year, and because they're generally really helpful. So they'll give you some sort of idea around what sorts of things you're going to discuss and what sort of research you might need to do throughout your term. Another top tip would be get to know the mayor. So spend some time, ask for time with the mayor. The mayor would probably generally spend some time with you because you're a new candidate, but also make time to know, because the mayor is the leader of the team, but also him or her will have some idea about what they want to see your city or your borough or your regional council do in their term. So, talk with them. I mean, you're not always going to agree, but getting to know how they work and how they manage the team and how they run the meetings is always a good thing. It's just more comfortable for you. It'll be more comfortable for you. A top tip would be also to actually get your head around the standing orders. And any other parliamentary procedure that you might follow. Sometimes it's useful to know what's called Robert's Rules. There's also Renton's is another kind of a parliamentary process, I guess, that is used in New Zealand. And if you are from an NGO background or from a background where you've been in meetings where those rules have been followed, it's not so hard to understand how the standing orders work. Actually, another way you could learn standing orders is actually watch Parliament. I mean, you know, you don't have to make a habit of it, but just Parliament's aired free on TV, so just watch how the Speaker, you know, manages the 2 and 3 and 4 sides to each argument, question time, you know, just see how the language that's used and how, just so you can understand the formality of what standing orders can do, you know, in managing a meeting and managing debates.
Good morning, my name's Ian McKinnon. For 3 terms I was on the Wellington City Council as Deputy Mayor for 2 terms, have stood down for 3 years and have now been elected to the Greater Wellington Regional Council. I've been asked to reflect on how I would approach being a new councillor, and I think I would do so from 3 relationships which are important. One is your relationship with residents and ratepayers. That's crucial. I think there's been a tendency recently of councillors starting to get a little bit detached from that. But being out amongst the people, being out amongst them regularly at their various activities, means you also understand what is concerning them, what is worrying them, and to me that's a vital relationship and must exist through your full 3 years as a councillor. So that's one relationship. The second relationship, which I think is also important, is that with the officers of your council. These are valuable people, they're a valuable resource for exactly what you are going to have to decide upon. Obviously, they should be treated with respect. Their responsibility is to produce true and fair accounts of the particular basis upon which you must decide according to your values and your beliefs for the benefit of your particular authority. But getting to know the council officers, getting to understand that they come to you impartially with good advice is crucial, and you develop a sound two-way relationship with them. That's the second thing. The third thing is probably the most difficult one for councillors to grasp, and that is that in a 3-year cycle, it's very short, but you have responsibilities obviously for the day-to-day operations of your particular authority, but you must also be prepared to look strategically, look a bit more long term. And sometimes there's a conflict there, particularly as you get closer to an election, because it's very easy to go down the more populist road of what is immediately required rather than worry too much about the long term. In my opinion, you've got to worry about both. So the 3 things that I share with you is 1, make sure that you realise you're a grassroots politician, you're out there amongst the people, they are the people that you are listening to, they are the people whom you are serving to ensure the well-being of their communities. Secondly, you'll be well served by very good officers, and in my opinion, you have a responsibility to treat them courteously and with respect, understanding the role that they have is beneficial for your decision making. The third one is, do remember, it's not just a populist game, it's also a strategic game, and somehow you've got to marry those 2. If you're open and you're honest in your approach and you have good relationships because you naturally respect people, then you'll find that people will also respect the fact that from time to time you'll be making strategic long-term decisions, often never as popular as those short-term populist decisions. So that's how I see the role of being a councillor. I congratulate you in being successful in this election and certainly wish you well in your endeavours as you represent the people of your particular authority over the next 3 years. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anna Coffey and I'm a City Councillor at Porirua City. I've just been elected to my 3rd triennium, so really looking forward to that. I have a few tips that I'd like to share for new elected members. One of them is ask a lot of questions. It's really important to ask staff, ask other councillors who've previously been on the council before. you've got a really big learning curve ahead of you, and the only thing you can do is ask a question. There are no dumb questions, or sometimes there are dumb questions, but that's absolutely fine, because there will definitely be someone else around the table that wants to know the answer. And so definitely ask lots of questions. Another tip is have an opinion. We only have 3 years to make a difference. We are elected every 3 years, and we may not be here for the next triennium. So we don't really have time to just sit back and learn the ropes. The only way you're going to learn to be an effective elected member is if you jump in, boots and all, asking those questions, making mistakes, but also having an opinion and making a difference. It's really important that you make your voice heard. And so that leads into the next tip, which is look for support. When I was a new elected member, I was really lucky to have amazing support from councillors who had been sitting around the table for quite a few years. They encouraged me to speak and to ask questions, whether they were good questions or not, and I found that really, really helpful. And don't just look at people within the council, but also have friends, have family, have people in the community that you can touch base with and really talk through issues. And I think in the end that will help you make better decisions and more informed decisions.
My name's Barbara Donaldson. I'm a councillor at Greater Wellington Regional Council. From my experience, the best thing that new councillors can do is to listen and learn. It's very complex, local government, and lots of different facets, and it takes a while to learn about them all and what your real interests are. Go to all the committee meetings you can, go to all the training courses you can, take in everything, and then you'll decide in your own time what's important for you or what you perhaps want to spend more time on. You'll get lots of advice from your staff. Take that advice, read as much as you can, but don't let it take up all your time. You've got to leave time for yourself, and you'll still be wanting to be in touch with all your constituents who put you there, so that you understand what your local community wants.